let's tell you who's in and who's out in terms of what we know so far. And I would say there's one definitely big-time concerning thing for the Commanders, and that is Tyler Biadasz's status. He is doubtful. So earlier today, when Dan Quinn spoke to the press, he revealed that Marshawn Lattimore would be out. So that is why it's not concerning in terms of, like, we already knew that. And I think we anticipated that, and not to say that that's like, hey, great, they're fine without Marshawn Lattimore. Well, the other corners that are there, we know how awesome they are. We have and will continue to discuss the issues at corner. It's actually the discussion, part of the discussion that we had on Take Command in our preview show, and you'll be able to hear that part of the show coming up at 4:30. So Logan Paulson chimes in on the corner conversation at 4:30. But Marshawn Lattimore out, Jordan McGee out as well. He went limited DNP and has been ruled out with a hamstring injury. Tyler Owens, who's been awesome on special teams all year, DNP all week, he is out. Biadasz went DNP limited, listed as doubtful. Same thing for Cornelius Lucas, DNP limited, listed as doubtful. On the rest of the injury front, Austin Ekeler, full practice all week with a concussion. He is listed as questionable, and they can just hold him out if they want to. They could knock the dust off, and we'll see what they do, because I think there's also an interesting roster decision to try to make around that. Now, if someone else was hurt this weekend or was ready to go on IR or something like that, that would be a different discussion. Like if Tyler Owens' ankle injury is something that's going to keep him out multiple weeks and the only way to get him back is like the Super Bowl, then maybe IR him and then put his spot to Austin Ekeler. But I don't know what you do from the running back standpoint, because all four guys feel like they should have a role. But I don't know that you necessarily want four guys up. That's a lot of running backs. And I know McNichols and Ekeler and Rodriguez all play some level of special teams. Ekeler is a returner. The other two can cover kicks and be on punt and whatever. But that's an interesting roster decision. I like that Lucas was at least a limited today. Get him out there doing some stuff. Really more of a ramp up for next week. Get him back there. And then obviously we know that Biadasz has been so key to their offensive line. And the fact that Jaden Daniels is going to play this week without Tyler Biadasz in front of him, likely, unless there's a huge turnaround, like we would probably know even tomorrow. I'd imagine if all of a sudden Biadasz comes into the building feeling good tomorrow, they might change his status from doubtful to questionable, and then he could be on track to play on Sunday. Other than that, guys don't play when they're doubtful. The league literally is like, hey, why did you list them as doubtful if they wind up playing? So very, very rarely does that actually happen. But Biadasz not there, at least this week, Dieter would have gotten all the reps. That's the positive, because that's been the issue sometimes is they're so out of sync when Michael Dieter plays, because he comes in the middle of the game and it just looks like a group that hasn't practiced together. So at least, last 2 days, Dieter was the full-time center, and then today Biadasz was limited, and there's only so much they do on Fridays. Anyway, I'd imagine they also gave full starters reps to Dieter in anticipation of him playing. The other guys on this injury report, KJ Osborne got sick and did not practice today, so he is listed as questionable. Tyler Ott, their long snapper, was a DNP personal, not injury related. So hopefully everything's okay there. And he's just, it's a good reason that he's out for some reason, or just like doctor's appointment, whatever. But he ultimately gets the day off and is technically listed as questionable. Excellent news on the offensive front. Andrew Wiley listed as a full participant, no injury designation. Dyami Brown, full participant with the hamstring, no injury designation. So the Commanders have their other explosive receiver back and a guy who's been super key to their offense. Terry, full practice the last 2 days, doesn't get an injury designation with the ankle. Cleveland Ferrell, same thing, full participation today after limited yesterday, DNP on Wednesday, and he is good to go. Now, on the Cowboys side of things, Nick Vigil, their linebacker, is back in play today. He was limited after being a DNP for the last couple of days. He's questionable, as is Mozzie Smith and Donovan Wilson, so a couple of defensive starters there. One of their backup tackles questionable, Kaman Hall, one of their backup corners, the only guy who's out. And that means that Micah Parsons, despite showing up on the practice report yesterday as a limited participant, is good to go. He has no injury designation. He is listed as a full participant. And that is the full edition of the practice report. Everybody else that was injured on the Cowboys, full participant today. So you're talking about guys like Jalen Brooks, Princeton Fant, Eric Kendricks, Jalen Tolbert, and then one of their other backup tackles, all listed but full participants. And they are going to play on Sunday. So the bad news is Micah Parsons is going to play, and Tyler Biadasz is not. That's the biggest thing. I was kind of hoping that with Parsons picking up whatever he picked up yesterday, that he would just be like, you know what? I got nothing to prove. I'm good. Like, let's get some young guys some reps. I mean, he is a young guy, but he's a young guy who hasn't gotten paid yet. A young guy who wants to get to the offseason healthy. And that would have made life a whole lot easier. But now he could line up right over Michael Dieter and be like, hey, buddy, time to disco. Time to party. And I don't love that for the Washington Commanders. That said, they can do a lot of stuff to help out, whether it's, just kind of having your running back be a chipper, no matter where he is. Like, just, hey, wherever Parsons lines up, you're going to line up on that side. And so if he's lined up dead over the center, you can pick your side, whichever one you want to come in and hit him in. I feel like I'd want to be on the right and just like boom and help there in the A-gap. If you're a left-footed guy, go ahead, line up on the left side. But it needs you available to help out on old number 11. And then other than that, getting Dyami back is enormous because that also gives you a weapon in the screen game, gives you a vertical threat down the field, and that is also a really good sign because with the hamstring, we had no idea. Like, is this dude going to be out for the playoffs? Like, is he going to be out a couple weeks? Is he going to be out just last week? And turns out just last week was the answer, limited yesterday, in today. So that is how the injuries set up for Washington and Dallas. Not just the latest information, but some of how it actually plays out in the game. Obviously, Austin Ekeler is the big one that still looms. You'll want to be tuned in tomorrow. Obviously, if there's live shows here on the radio locally, we will have, which we do have between 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. We'll have coverage on when that decision comes down. Also be posting up on all the social media platforms if the Commanders decide to activate Ekeler, which they would do tomorrow. Also could bring up the guys from the practice squad. I am imagining that Bryson Tremaine gets another call up because he is the primary replacement for Tyler Owens on special teams. So even though it's a wide receiver to a safety or safety to a wide receiver, that is why he is probably the next guy up. And with Osborne missing practice today, I could see KJ being and Dyami back. I could see KJ actually being down again on Sunday for the inactive when the inactive report comes out. So just some fun roster machinations. Who doesn't want that in the middle of a snowstorm on a Friday?